Hi everyone, and today we are going to make a good drone perfect. Take out that light, because when I fly, I don't look at the drone. So we remove the power wires to this light, remove the motor connectors, and solder them directly to the flight controller, changing the motor screws to titanium. And of course, the main thing is to make a naked O3 air unit. We'll need the Happy Model O3 naked kit. Part for mounting standard ND filters on the naked O3 cam, 20 by 20 mm VTX mounting plate, some titanium screws. Let's check the weight. Weigh with UV filter, always fly with UV or ND filter at least to protect the camera. Dry weight 113 grams. 164 grams with a 730 milliamp battery is a lot for this drone. Now, 550 milliamp is the perfect battery size for this drone. Let's go fly. Flies pretty good, but there are a couple of problems. First and most importantly, too much prop wash and a short flight time. Let's fix it. Unscrew the 4 screws of the O3 VTX mount. Carefully disconnect the VTX to FC connector and unscrew the camera. O3 weight cutting is the main task for today. Let's leave it for last. Unscrew the frame with the flight controller and motors from the ducts. A little gift after the last flight. Now we need to disconnect the flight controller to prepare it for direct soldering of the motors. Heat the connector pins on one side and pick them up with tweezers on the other to desolder them from the flight controller. Do not hold the soldering iron too long on the board to avoid overheating other components. During inspection, I noticed that the power wire is not in full contact with the flight controller. This should be fixed. I will replace the wire with a new longer one for more comfortable connection of the batteries. Cut off the motor connectors. And that's where I was wrong. The wires are short and will have to be lengthened to solder to the flight controller. I don't think I can save weight here, but soldering directly to the flight controller is still better than connectors. Connectors give more resistance and worse contact, so the battery discharge is faster and the power output to the motors is a little bit lower. Always clean the surface after soldering. Soldering motors to the flight controller of such small whoops where there were connectors and no normal soldering points, my least favorite thing to do. Worse, probably only soldering wires to the camera on 65mm whoops. Next step, I decided to just swap out the ducts to get rid of the LED backlighting. It's faster that way, and I like the black color better. It's time to make the air unit naked. Unscrew the screws fixing the VTX case covers. Disconnect the antennas. The covers are held on by thermal paste. Carefully remove them. Remove thermal paste with a cotton swab or brush and alcohol. Carefully disconnect the camera wire. The most important moment here with this connector, it is glued with a very hard glue. If you have the opportunity to soften it with some solvent, or be as careful as possible removing small pieces. Finally, take off the middle part. Removing the protective covers from the VTX boards. And now comes the most annoying part of the whole process. To clean the board from thermal paste, you need to be as careful as possible not to damage the chips.
Two hours later.
Repeat the process for this and this part. But don't touch the SD card side if you need to leave the ability to write to this SD card. Finished result? I like it. Now we can put it all back together, starting with the middle part. Note that this part is asymmetrical and position the bar that is not in the middle so that there is space for a slot for SD card. The Happy Model kit comes with a 20x20 threaded top part to mount to the Mobula 8 with O3, but I swapped them out with the bottom part to mount to the kit's PAVO20 Pro carbon mount. Don't forget the camera cable and antenna, as they are blocked by the top and bottom bars. Let's start with the camera. There is nothing complicated here. Unscrew 2 screws of the case and 4 screws of the front part of the case. Carefully disconnect the wire from the camera. The wire is fixed to the back of the case by a rubber spacer. Just hook it up with tweezers and remove the wire. Put the naked mount of the camera and the mating part for mounting the filters. Connect to the flight controller, power it up and test it. found the cause. It was this little resistor that came off with the glue. I was lucky enough to find a new top board for $20. Putting it all back together again. Exciting moment, and it works. Time for the final assembly. I tried to use a complete carbon fiber 20x20 mount for Vista VTX, but the screws fixing the lower part of the naked kit protruded a lot, and with Space's O3 module turns out to be very high and does not fit in the body of PAVO20 Pro. Good thing I have a backup. A 3D printed part specifically for attaching the naked O3 to the PAVO20 Pro. Finish line, just a few screws left to go. I almost forgot about the titanium motor mount screws. It's time to see how much lighter we've made it. Wow, 22 grams less. That's almost 20% of the original weight. With 550 milliamp battery, 130 grams. And with 730 milliamp battery, 142 grams. Very interesting how this will fly. Bid and filter tuning I got from Mr. Mangoril. The link will be in the description.
Welcome to HTX.
Everything's fine, I just didn't connect the wire on the O3 VTX properly. It feels like something incredible. It's just two different drones in behavior. No prop wash, hover gas at 20%, very responsive and light. And now I want to fly it more and more. But let's compare the drone's behavior before and after without stabilization and post-processing. write in the comments what differences you see and what you like better. And the flight times are much longer now, better than I could have expected. I'll upload a full video with flight times later. Thanks for watching, leave questions in the comments and subscribe to the channel.